Go. Okay. Hey guys, this is Bruce. Welcome to ConvoCourses. This is the second time today I've done this one. I had to cut the other one short, had an appointment. But here we go. This is open topics and everything. But what I want to do is start off with something that's useful to you, which is the NIST Cybersecurity Framework. I'm going to explain that briefly. And then we're going to just get into open questions for about 1 solid hour. All right. So, what is the NIST Cybersecurity Framework? So, framework. Framework is a set of rules, it's a guidance, it's a standard that your organization will use. Organization being the bank you work at, the gas station you work at, the retail place. All of these guys have to have a certain standard or guidance to make sure that their servers, their computers, all the equipment that they're using is secure, so it doesn't get hacked, so it doesn't get leaked, data doesn't get leaked, all that kind of stuff. So that's what a framework is. The NIST cybersecurity framework, what it does is it takes your organization and says, okay, what are the main things you as an organization need to do? And it kind of is different than some of the other frameworks that are out there. The ones that are for retail, the ones that are for, you name it. They've got them for the financial sector. They got them for all different sectors have some sort of guidance or framework. But this one's a little bit different in that it approaches the organization from what do you need to do? And there's 4 essential things that an organization needs to do. One is identify. What do they need to identify? They need to identify what actual assets they have. This sounds very simple and seems like why would you have to say that? But you'd be surprised how many organizations I worked at as a contractor, as an employee, where the organization does not know what they have. They don't know how many computers they have. They don't know what computers they have. They don't know where they are. They don't know what's going on with them. They don't know where their servers are. They don't know what software they have. Nothing. There's nothing to track it, anything. And it is a nightmare to deal with that. So identification is super important. What do we have in our environment? What is our baseline? What does our network look like? That is what identify does. But it also identifies what is our role? What business do we do? What mission do we have? It identifies all that stuff. The next step is protecting the things that you identify. Protection is encrypting the data, making sure you have physical security that's in place, making sure that you have some sort of program in place to protect all of the assets that you do identify. So that's protection. Another thing you're going to do is to detect. Detect is super important to your organization as well, because detect is talking about if you have any kind of security incidents, if there's anomalies. How do you know if you're getting hacked? How do you know if there's malware, if there's viruses on your network? Detect takes care of that and make sure you have not only the equipment in place and the software in place if you need that, but also the people to actually do that job, to detect that stuff. Now that you've detected what is going on, the next step you have to do is to respond. How are you going to handle those incidents? What do? Do you have people in place to actually handle whatever is going on? And how quickly do they respond? And then the last thing is recovery. Let's say you get hit, your system goes down, you get hacked, whatever. How are we going to respond to? How are we going to recover? That's your backups. That's restoration of your system, an alternate site, all those kinds of things. What are our plans? What do we have in place? So those are the things that the NIST CSF covers. Now, if you want to go more in depth in this, and you actually want to go more into like what do you actually do, then I have a book out right now that's free. I'm looking for downloads. Like right now, it's free for a limited amount of time. Really, I'm looking for reviews. It's going to really help me out. It's in description below. It's on the profile. And with that, all that said, I'm going to get into some questions that I missed the last time we did this. All right, so I had to cut this short last time. So let me see if there's anything else. Here's the book right here, by the way. This book is out. I'm still working on the downloadables. Going to have a whole bunch of downloadables with it. That'll be templates and all that kind of stuff. But that stuff's going to take me a little bit longer to do. But this is an early release, so this is a great opportunity for you to jump in there. So this is what I was talking about. Here's identify. Here's governance. So you've got GRC stuff, governance, compliance, risk management, supply chain risk management. This book goes into all these things in better detail, and just enough detail for you to make it actionable. And so I try to make it as useful as possible for you guys. So that's the book right there. Feel free to get it on Amazon, link in description, link in bio. But let me see. I had a question. Somebody asked me a question about if they're a foreigner and they wanted to get a job here in the U.S., what would I do? So I thought that was an interesting question. So I could tell you what I would do. So first of all, I wouldn't limit myself to the U.S. So that's the first thing. What I would do is whatever country I was trying to go to, I would look locally and I would look abroad. And the way that you want to do it is you want to find the first thing you got to do is you're trying to take your skills and match them with people who are looking for those skills. Whatever skills you have, you're trying to match your skill set with it's supply and demand. You got to find the demand that's out there, and then you're going to supply it with your skill set. And you can do the reverse of that. Say, what is my skill set, and who is looking for these skills that I have? So that's a really important piece of this whole thing. One of the first things that I do that you could do is look for that demand in your local country, whatever country you happen to be in. Don't rule out your own country, and then abroad. And so every country, a lot of people don't know this, but every country has their own most popular set of 10 job security sites, job search sites, job aggregators, whatever you want to call it. And I want to demonstrate this for you. See if I can bring this up here. And let's say we were looking for jobs in, I don't know, Kenya or something. And so I'm in Google right now, and I type in top job sites in Nairobi. Let's just say Kenya. We're looking for all the top sites there, because the sites here that are most popular are not the same ones that are popular in Nairobi or in Kenya or whatever country you live in. So you want to find the top 10 sites. And so just real quickly, I found top 20 most popular sites in, I don't know how good this site is, but I'm going to go through two different ones. Okay, first one is this one here. This one is, hold on, let me make my screen a little bit bigger for those who are watching this. For those who are watching. Okay, so it's saying Brighter Monday, top 20 best Kenyan job sites. Brighter Monday, Fuzu, Career Point, Kenya, Duma Works, Job, Kenya, Best Job. You want the top 10. CareerJet, I'm familiar with that one. So that's one list. We don't want to just do one list. So I'm going to do another list here. Say top job sites in Nairobi. Nairobi is like the biggest city in Kenya. So let's check that one. Let's see if there's any we could cross-reference. Like if we find like 3 lists that have the top ones, and then we'll figure out like which ones we see most often. All right, so now here's another list of sites here. Google.com, okay. LinkedIn. So this is all the same as in the US. This is why you want to check more than one site. Okay, here's one that's new. United Nations Careers Portal, careers.un.org, Cooperate site, Safaricom Careers, Impact Pool. This is a completely different list. So this is not, okay, DevX, that looks familiar. I thought I saw that one. No. Okay, so I'm getting completely different lists. Let's try another one. Kenya job sites. Whatever country you happen to be in, this is what you want to do. This is the exercise you want to do. Look for the top job sites in that country. And I'll show you why. The next step it'll make more sense once I tell you the next step. Kenya jobs. Okay. Brighter Monday. Okay, I've seen that one before. Nosanga. Let's see. 10 job sites. Okay, I think I already been to this site. Skip this one. My jobs, top 20. I think I've been to that one. Kenya job board sites. Brighter Monday. Okay, here we go. Brighter Monday, Fuzu, GG, and Career Point Kenya. All right, now I have CareerJet. There we go. So I'm seeing the same ones. What you want to do, you want to search the top 3 sites, whatever country you're trying to go to, right? And then locally, I would start locally, because most of the jobs you're gonna have the greatest opportunity for are gonna be local jobs. And you'd be surprised how many awesome local jobs you have. So you don't want to rule those out. Before we go abroad, before we go to the US or go to UK or whatever, right? Let's try local first, because those are going to be the best ones. So we have our set of 10 sites. Now the next step we want to do is the one that people do not do for whatever reason, no matter how many times I tell them, is apply for every single one of those sites. Every single one of them. You want to upload your resume, the ATS style resume. Upload your resume on all those sites. Now, in other countries, they have a different style of resume. You might have to do what's called a CV, where you have a picture and all that kind of stuff. Whatever resume style, do that resume for that country. Upload it to the top 10 or even top 20 if you're serious, top 20 sites, and fill out the entire profile on those sites for that country. Now what you want to do is go abroad. Now that you've done it locally, now you want to go abroad. So you do the same thing. Essentially, if you're trying to go to the UK, if you're trying to go to the US, if you're trying to whatever country you're trying to, Australia, whatever country you're trying to go to, search for the top 10. You can use Bing, you can use Google, whatever your favorite search engine is, whatever it is. You can even use ChatGPT, will work really good with this. What you want to type in is top job sites in X country. And then go down the list of all. You want to do it on 3 different different search engines, I would recommend. Because not 3 different. What you want to do is do 3 different searches and do like 3 different lists, so you can get an idea of what are the top sites. Because some sites you go to are just BS, right? They're just trying to get you to click on something. But you want to get a consensus between 3 different sources, so that you have an idea of, okay, these top 5, you'll notice like top 5 always popping up, or top 10 on every single one of those lists that consistently come up. And those are the ones you want to apply for. Apply for those ones in that country, apply locally, and just keep applying. You want to put the whole profile on the site. Another thing that you want to do is that what I've noticed is, give you an example. What I've noticed is that whenever I put ISO 27001, which is an international standard, I noticed that European jobs will pop up. Whenever I put NIST 800 on my resume, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll explain in a second. So if I put NIST 800, a bunch of US jobs come my way. What I'm getting at is certain skills, technologies, and certain knowledge base that you put on your resume are going to be more attractive to certain countries. Because China, for example, they use like Huawei is a huge brand there, and that's like their top networking. But in the US don't really use Huawei. There's not many companies here that use that. They might even be banned here. to be honest with you. Cisco is what they use here. So if you know Cisco stuff, it's going to be more popular and more in demand here than if you were to go overseas. And then in EU, I know that they have Ericsson. They have a bunch of Nokia, Ericsson, and there's a few other brands that are popular there. So if you are familiar with that technology, that's going to help you out. If there's certain standards that are more popular in that country and you have it on your resume, that you're familiar with it, that you worked with it before, that you have a skill set in it, then that's what you want to have on your resume. Now, if you don't have that stuff on your resume, you don't even know where to start with that. LinkedIn for the US, if you go to LinkedIn, you can look at other people's resume and get some idea of what employers are looking for and how people are marketing themselves, what kind of skill sets they're. Sometimes it's a matter of wording. Sometimes they word it different and if you word it in the way that they're wording it, like you've done those skills before, but if you word it like they're wording it, you'll get more traction. You'll get more people contacting you about your resume. I get a lot of people contacting me about my resume. That's why I'm always telling people, check out my resume, download my resume, check it out. There's something I'm doing right on there, right? You might have way more certifications. You might have way more technical skills. You're for sure smarter than I am. So why the hell is a guy like me getting way more opportunities than somebody like yourself? There's something I'm doing right. Take a look at my resume and look at the wording on it. Look at what's going on with it. My resume is marketed specifically towards a certain demographic of employer. I have targeted it so that I know exactly what I'm trying to get. And that's what you have to do. You have to target the whatever organization or whatever you're trying to get into, whether it be network engineering or if you're trying to do information assurance or if you're trying to do whatever it happens to be, you've got to target your resume for those employers. And it's actually very easy to do because you just go to those employers' website and look at the jobs that they're posting, what kinds of jobs they're looking for, and you post what they're looking for. Like you look at, okay, they want somebody who has a bachelor's degree. I'm working on my bachelor's degree. I'll be done by 2024. Of course, make sure that that's true because you don't want to get in the resume. I'm not telling you to lie in the resume. But when you get into the interview, they will ask you about that. That's why I say don't lie about it. Okay, I got a couple people contacting me saying stuff here. Let me see. Somebody said, where would you be able to learn networking and doing labs to understand it? Networking is not my forte, but let me see if I can. At one point I did. I don't think that the same networking tools that I used back in the day, I don't know that they still use it. But one of the GNS3 is one of the main ones that I used to use. I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but it's called GNS3, just like that. Go to Bing, go to Google, whatever. Type in Golf November Sierra 3, GNS3. And GNS3 is a software that empowers network professionals. Basically, it allows you to do it allows you to create a lab on your laptop to where you can have you can create LAN, local area networks, and then make them talk to each other. Why that's important is because a lot of times you don't have the money or the resources to just buy a whole bunch of Cisco equipment and then set them up in your house. Like that's what we used to do back in the day. We'd go on Craigslist. Here's another thing you can do, by the way. You go on Craigslist and look for people who are selling their old routers. This is what I used to do. This is how crazy I was. And me and another partner of mine. You go on Craigslist. Craigslist is like, if you never heard of it, it's like a site where people sell old used equipment, old couches, old stuff on there, but they also sell old equipment they don't use anymore. And a lot of these network engineers who are either retiring or they've moved on or they got new equipment or they virtualized all their stuff and they don't need all their old stuff. They've already spent all this money on this equipment that they have in their house to do a CCNP or some high level certification, and they don't need it anymore. And meanwhile, they spent $500 to get all this equipment, or $1,000 to get. And now they're trying to recoup some of the investment they put in. So they start giving it away on Craigslist for like $100, $50, $30, or whatever. So what I did is I went on Craigslist and started buying up all this network equipment. And then I networked them together. I got them to work. Like, part of the whole experience of building the lab taught me so much. Like, I would turn on the router and it's like, damn, this thing's not, the power's coming on, but why can't I log into it? Now I got to figure out how to log into it. So I had to get a console cable. I had to figure out what kind of console cable to buy that will connect to my computer. I had to have a DB9 cable. Like, damn, okay, where do I find DB? So I have to find that, figure out what's going on with DB9 cables. And I had to so you're going through all this stuff to create this lab, and meanwhile, you're learning so much stuff. Now I'm logged into the system. Now, man, what's going on? For a reason, the operating system's not turning on. I got to load an operating system on this damn thing, you know. So once I got to that point, I'd finally get the network working. Now I'm getting this router to talk to this router. It's like, okay, it can ping this one, it can see this. So all the steps I had to do all of that helped me out quite a bit. Craigslist, you could probably find them these days on like Facebook Marketplace, probably has them. Like old routers. Look for Google or go to Facebook and type in old routers, or go to Craigslist, old routers, old switches, and you'll find that stuff. eBay might be another great place to look to, where people are just kind of giving their equipment away. As far as websites, GNS3, VMware has some good stuff you can do, mess around with networking there. Another one is man, what's the other one? There's a couple. VirtualBox is another good one. And then people on this call might actually know some even better places. Somebody said, I got 2 switches from my cousin, but I was wondering what types of labs do you do on them? What types of labs would I do on them? Well, I was really weak on switches, and I needed to learn that. So what I would do is I would set up a local area network. Like, I just wanted basic local area network stuff, and I would try to set up like VLANs, and I was just put together a VLAN and then tear it apart again. And then when I got into networking, what I would do is set up 2 separate networks and then have one attack network, have one computer attack this other network. So it would be enough for me to just make a basic network with a little, either a firewall or no firewall, just depending on what I was doing. And then I'll have this attack laptop with using Kali Linux, and even going further backtrack. I don't know if you guys heard of that, but I would use this hacker tool and then just go and try to see what I could see, what the packets look like. That was such a good learning. It depends on what you're trying to do. It says, I'm also starting to study for my Network Plus. You're going way far for a Network Plus. Like, you don't even have to do all this for a Network Plus. But that's pretty hardcore, man. That's mad respect. Lots of respect, especially if you already have the switches and stuff. Let me see. I got a question before I do any more TikTok questions. Somebody said they have a MSEE, a CISSP, a CISM, and a CASP. Man, that's incredible. That's incredible. Jonathan R. says, hey, Bruce, this new book of yours, is it for entry-level people with no experience? This book is a little different. You could get it and read it with no experience. I mainly wrote it for people who need a practical understanding of it so they can implement towards implementation. It's going to give you a good, solid understanding of what this book, of what the NIST CSF is. I've written it in such a way that it's accessible to somebody who doesn't have a lot of knowledge, but there's going to be some things that are kind of out. Like, if you have no experience in IT, it's going to be there's going to be some verbiage in there that's going to be like, damn, you're going to have to probably, Google it or something. But you could pick this one up. I wouldn't recommend some of my other book, like the NIST 800 one, probably is a little too, it's just too in the weeds. the stuff I'm talking, you could read it, but it's kind of like it's really for a specialized group of people. But this one probably you could probably pick this one up and just if you just wanted to learn NIST CSF, after you read the book, you'd be able to speak on it. You'd be able to speak on it, like you'd be able to just tell somebody what NIST CSF, you would know what it was for sure. But my audience really wasn't somebody who's, doesn't know anything. It's for managers, it's for IT professionals, for cybersecurity professionals, people who are going to actually use the book is who I really wrote it for. Whereas the book is in description and it's in my profile if you're on TikTok for free. It's on. It's only free for like the next 4 days, 5 days, and then also you can get it in if you're watching me on Facebook, on Indeed, or in LinkedIn and YouTube. It's in description. So check it out, download it. Any little bit helps me out. Even just downloading it helps me out, to be honest with you. But reviews is what I'm really looking for. Thank you guys so much for all your help. I really appreciate it. Like I said, you guys are instrumental in making me feel, not feel like I'm a legit author, because people are literally buying my book and consuming it and using it and everything. So it's been incredible. I've always wanted to be a writer, and so now I'm a writer. So I'm officially a writer. It's crazy, but I'm doing something I've always dreamed of doing. JM Thayer says, get Cisco phones to Cisco Labs, Google Cisco Lab School's curriculum, 8140 instruction. It's all good stuff. It's Try Hack Me valid for this to start with. Is Try Hack Me valid to start with? It's valid for if you're trying to be it is good. Okay. First of all, Try Hack Me is incredible. So is Hack the Box. Very good tools to learn at any level, because it starts you off at level 0 and then you build up from nothing and learning to hack mainly. So the direction that it's going is just like ethical hacking, and it also teaches you like what kinds of things you shouldn't do on your computer or your website. If you set up a website, it's going to expose you to some vulnerabilities that you'll see that are common in all over in every industry. So I would argue that it's very good for training to start with. I would say it's really good for starting. Now, if you're trying to go deeper and you're trying to be a cybersecurity professional and trying to get a job in this field, at some point you're going to have to evolve from Try Hack Me or go deeper, much, much deeper into Try Hack Me. And what I mean to say is that cybersecurity is a very, very broad field. And that said, like, I don't know, I'm not a hacker. Like, I'm making 6 figures. I work from home. I've been doing this for 7 years. I'm not a hacker. I do not know how to code. You might be wondering, like, well, then how the hell are you, like, how can you call yourself a cybersecurity professional? It's a mystery. It's because cybersecurity is a very broad field. It's not just hacking. It's not just code, So I'm here to talk to folks that are trying to go in a different direction. I could talk a little bit about cybersecurity analysis. I could talk a little bit about, I know a little bit about a little bit, like a little bits here and there, but I can't speak on the deep stuff with coding. I can't say anything about it. Somebody said, would you encourage people to switch careers even with the threat of AI? Absolutely. AI, there's something going on with AI, and I've fallen prey to this too, and it's irrational exuberance. This is a phrase coined by the financial sector. Irrational exuberance. It means people are way too happy and way too excited and are putting way too much irrationally putting too much into it. That said, it's very, very powerful. I use it. I'm using the hell out of it, especially to help me to write, especially to help me to do editing and stuff like that. It's a really great tool. But because I've been using it, I'm seeing like I'm hitting like a wall with it. for one thing, I'll give you specific examples with AI. So I was messing around writing. I written a couple books about it. Like I literally went through like, okay, how do you do this? Learn how to do it, and I would just write anything that I was learning and what I was literally using. I put it in a book. And I noticed right away when I was trying to do frameworks, the cybersecurity frameworks, that it would flat out tell some lies. Flat out tell like, and I'm not trying to tell you to not do AI. Like I said, I wrote books so that you can use, like, you should definitely use it. Like, it's time to use it, but it's a tool. It's not going to replace you, not yet. Maybe within about 10 years, maybe 10 years from now, but it's not there yet. Right now, it's an incredible tool that I think will be as powerful as the phone. But did the phone replace us? No, it didn't. It's a tool. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, anyway, so example, I was writing this book about NIST 800 and I was like, okay, how can I use it? And I put some stuff in there, like did some prompt engineering, and it flat out told some like just making stuff up. And I'm like, this is actually dangerous. Because if people believe it, I don't know if you guys heard in the news about a lawyer who was doing a case and he used ChatGPT, and ChatGPT just came up with some fake cases, and this lawyer didn't do his due diligence, right? All he did was took the cases and went directly he went to the courthouse with these fake cases, and he got called out. Definitely heard about the lawyer. Yeah. It's like, oh man. Yeah, it'll flat out. It's a great tool, but you got to double check it. So I was writing a book about NIST 800, and I've been doing NIST 800 for many, many years. So off the top of my head, I know what's right or wrong. It was giving me wrong security controls. It was making stuff up on that. It was giving me the wrong. It was using like the old standard of NIST 800, and I'd have to tell it, hey, you have to use this standard. And they were like, oh, I'm sorry, and then it would give me the right one. So it's not going to replace your job yet, so you're safe. I would argue even writers, even even coders, especially, you're good. Like, it's a great tool to use, but it's not going to replace you just yet, So I would argue that somebody, and this is one of the things I discussed and mentioned in one of my books, is that it is not going to replace, and this is a quote from somebody, it's not something I made up. Somebody quoting somebody who said, AI won't replace you, but somebody using AI will replace you. And I believe that. So that's why it's important for you to learn it. But is it time to switch careers because of AI? Somebody's like afraid because if you switch into IT or cybersecurity, suddenly AI is going to replace your job. No, it's not. It's not. They can't. The government, financial sector cannot trust AI to do everything because it's just not there yet. It'll just come up with it'll hallucinate some stuff, come up with false narratives, all kinds of stuff. It's just not there yet. AI is not all intuitive yet. Still in development. Exactly. It's still in beta. It's so cool to use. I don't know if you guys if you wanted to use it with like it's really good for story writing, like making stuff up is really good with that. If you happen to do, like, a friend of mine uses it to play like D&D. Yeah, it's really cool for stuff like that. Like if it's making things up, like from random stuff that you're not gonna like sell, then yeah, it's really good with that. But anything else, if you're trying to sell some stuff and you're trying to like create something and sell it, like, you really got to check it because it'll plagiarize stuff. It'll make random. If you're trying to do facts, it'll make up random facts. You got to double check everything it puts out. Like, you got to make sure it doesn't plagiarize stuff, make sure there's no copyright infringement. You got to double check the facts. So yeah, we're not there yet. Maybe one day. Are you talking about artificial intelligence? Yes. Let me see. Jonathan says, awesome. Is there a book you wrote for like beginners such as myself, no experience person? Yes, I do have one book. It's I do have one called Cybersecurity Fundamentals Best Practices. It's on Amazon right now, and that book is for absolute beginners. I'm trying to see if there's a market for beginners. I'm not sure. So what I'll do is I'll create something and put it out there to see if people will even, like want to read it or whatever. It's sometimes there's no audience. There's not enough people who will actually purchase it for me to put my time and money and energy into creating, the cover and the, editing it and all this kind of stuff I got to do to write the book. But if people are interested, I'll write a whole series about that book. But I don't want to waste my time. Like one of the books, I wrote an entire series about it, and nobody cares about that book. But it's out there. That book is out there. So it's called Cyber. Go to Amazon, type in cyber security. Actually, if you go to, if you're on TikTok and look at my link tree, it should have a copy of it there. But if not, go to Amazon, type in cybersecurity best practices. That one's for beginners, like new beginners. That'll help you out. There is a marketplace for beginners. Yeah, and the thing is, JM, is here's the trick. So there's a market for it, but if it's too competitive, then even if I write a book, I can't break into that. I'm not going to get sales. Like there's 20 people, those dummies books, those computers, those are very successful, man. I don't know if I can compete with that. Those guys have 900 reviews. So it's a matter of not only having seeing the demand for it, but also can I break into the competition? Can I be competitive in that place? With NIST CIS, with let me see, with CSF Cybersecurity Framework, with NIST 800, I'm very competitive in that. Like if I release a book, people will buy it and read it. And then I'm like a top seller in that one. But if it's something like that, I'm really messing around with it. I don't know how far it'll go. 31 years of experience in government marketing. Market yourself. Yeah, I'm marketing the hell out of myself. I'm learning. I'm getting in there. I'm selling books. It's going pretty good, but I just don't know about this market. I'm kind of testing the waters right now. You can compete with D. Gibson. Is that like a popular teacher on Udemy or something? There's a couple of those guys. We are on LinkedIn. Oh, really? I've been thinking about doing some stuff for LinkedIn. Get cert, get ahead. Let me see. Is the entry level pool flooded because it seems like job positions are looking for 3 years of experience? I think seems to be a misconception about what entry level means in IT. So a lot of folks who jump on these lives, they want to get into IT, and they see entry level. And in many other career fields, if it says entry level, like nursing, for example, like if you are in the healthcare industry and you said you want an entry level position, they have entry level positions where you need maybe a few weeks or months worth of basic training, and then you can CNAs, like a certified nursing assistant. They have 4 months of experience of training. They have to have CPR training, basic stuff, and then they can get in, and that's entry level, and they can literally have no experience and actually come in and do that work. With IT, they'll say it's entry level, but then they'll say we want 3 years of experience, entry level. It's like, yo, what? I thought you said it's entry level. So IT is different. So you have different levels of. Tell me I'm wrong, all you vets out there. Tell me I'm wrong. There's different levels to the entry level. So there are jobs that require no experience. I mean that don't require experience. I should say. But most of them, if they say entry level, they mean about a year. Yeah. That's how it is. So if you specifically want a job with no experience, you got to specifically look for a job with no experience. And there are not many of them, and they don't pay very well. But if you do it right, you can get into a job with no experience that'll get your foot in the door and get you the experience. That's what I would do. If I had no experience and I really wanted to get in. So what I would do is I'd go on LinkedIn, I'd go on Indeed, on Monster, and I look you could literally search for IT jobs, no experience, and you'll find those jobs locally because most of them won't be work from home or something like that. So look for the local ones and then aggressively look for those. Like I said, they're not going to pay a lot, but if you get your foot in the door, now you can put that on your resume and say, yeah, I worked at this organization for 6 months. And then while you're working for them for 6 months, be working on your Security Plus or your A Plus certification or something like that. This is not going to be easy. I would say that these jobs exist, but there's a lot more you have to do to get in the door. Like it's not like healthcare where you have a tier where you could literally walk in and have no, like a CNA, no experience, but you have the knowledge and you have a certification, and then boom, you're a certified nursing assistant, and then from there you can become a nurse, right? You can have the experience, you can go to nursing school while you're doing CNA work, and then it's a little bit different in IT. Not to say you can't do that. It's just that we don't have it would be cool. Like we should have a CNA type position. That would be great, but we don't have it. There's nothing I can point to and say, oh, take this right here and then go work here and you'll make $20 an hour. And then, there's nothing I can point to. The best I can do is say, look specifically for those local jobs that require no experience, get in that position, work there a few months, and then that's what I would say to do. Let me see. Which one of your programs should I purchase first? Pierre, I would say if you have zero experience, is start off with YouTube. You don't have to buy anything from me, man. I got a ton of free stuff. Actually, go to ConvoCourses.com, look for some free stuff to download. Check out my resume, that's free. Check out my I've got a course on there that's free called Cybersecurity Entry Level, which is talking about some of the stuff I'm talking about right now and giving you some ideas of where to start, stuff to look for, becoming a geek before you become a nerd kind of thing. Becoming a geek before you actually start working on computers, and then once you work on computers, get into a position, an IT position, and then like I'm showing you like a way to level up to get to a cybersecurity position. So that's where you could start. But another thing you want to do, you don't have to spend money. Like if you have no experience, I got free stuff. What you want to do is go on Google right now. You're in a place where you want to go on YouTube and then research a bunch of IT skill sets and learn as much as possible. It's a long game. Yep. JM said it. It's a long game. It's worth it though, because I'm doing really good. This stuff, this is a side gig for me. Like I do not have to do this, man. My job, it pays good, and I'm always employed no matter what the economy looks like, and I could go get employed another country if I wanted to. Like it's in demand, man. But there's a certain level, there's levels to this. You don't just automatically get to this level. It took me a while. I'd be lying to you if I said, oh, just take the CCNA, and then suddenly, like some other guys are saying, like, go take the CCNA and then you make 6 figures. No, even there's a couple guys on TikTok. There's a dude on TikTok. His name's Chris. Props to Chris. But this dude, talk about him all the time. But this dude, he got a master's degree. He got this certification, a professional level certification called the OSCP, and he is making 6 figures. But let me tell you something. So this dude, he busted his ass to get that. He got a master's degree within a year. Do you know how hard that is? And he had to spend money to do that. So and he got his professional level cert, and within, I want to say within 2 years he got, or less, he's up to six figures and he could work anywhere. That is very difficult. What he did is super hard, and not everybody can do what he did. So I'm not trying to sugarcoat it. I'm telling you, it's hard. It is not, and this job's not for everybody. I would argue that anybody can do levels of this job for sure, but not everybody's going to want to. So you should probably test out your waters. If you're absolutely brand new to this and you're like seeing that money, you're seeing that six figures, you're watching these videos and you're like, damn, try it out first. Like, mess around with it, because this might not be for you. You might not want to do this. Let me see. I got some other comments, questions, and stuff. Frameworks are broad, but one has to pick up the right one for the right organization. Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely true. What he's talking about is, um, I've been doing this for a while, doing frameworks, and frameworks is like a set of guidelines that organizations use to be compliant with different laws, federal laws, state laws, industry laws, like credit card industry laws or whatever. Not every organization uses every framework. For example, hospitals don't necessarily need NIST 800 or NIST Cybersecurity Framework, but they probably are going to need something like privacy, um, protection of PII, and HIPAA. And then if you go to retail, if you go to Walmart, big box stores, Target, whoever, those guys probably they don't care about HIPAA at all, but because that's healthcare stuff, but they do care about credit card information, because 90% of their revenue comes from that world, comes from protection of credit card, comes from credit cards. They have to be able to protect credit cards. So each framework kind of fits a certain industry. And the one that I would say that probably can encompass all of them would be the NIST Cybersecurity Framework, because the way it's written allows you to fit other frameworks in it like Tetris. It's actually pretty amazing the way they wrote it. Brilliant. Let me see. No cookie cutter frameworks, but DoD has its own. No doubt, for example. Yeah. Are you a GRC analyst? I wouldn't. I do. I do GRC. I guess you could probably. My official title is an Information System Security Officer, which falls within GRC. So GRC, governance, risk, and compliance. I probably fall in the compliance, risk, and a little bit of the governance. So I do a little bit of all those things. So, am I an analyst by trade? Yeah, absolutely. Like, I can tell I can go into an organization and say, okay, you need to be compliant with X, Y, and Z. And if I don't know what they need to be compliant with, I can find out and then tell them how to be compliant with it and get them a certification and I could help them to conduct uh, a risk analysis that will give them to tell them the gaps of security issues that they might have or compliance issues. So that's something I could totally do. But my official title right now is called the Information System Security Officer, that I've been doing for quite some time. So, and then you said the NIST 853. Yeah, that's my bread and butter right there. I know all about that. NIST 853, NIST 837, Risk Management Framework. That's all day long. That's what I do. That's mainly what I do. But I messed with other things? Yeah. Mess with NIST CSF. I mess with a little bit of PCI compliance, PCI DSS, ISO 27001, even a little pharmacy stuff, GXP. That was interesting, and some other frameworks. Let me see. Got some other stuff. ISO is a scary job, a lot of responsibilities. Information system security officer. You know, when I first started, I thought so too. But what I've come to learn is that it's a process. You get scared about ISO work, because information system security officer work, because you're given the responsibility to kind of be the security eyes and ears of the organization. And especially if you're in a classified environment and you're seeing people do weird stuff with classified material, because there's a heightened level of fear around classified information, because if it gets leaked, it's very embarrassing to the organization, and real consequences can happen if something happens with classified information. If you have classified hard drives and then you've got a mixture of unclassified and different classification levels, and you're the one who has to take account for all those hard drives, it can be pretty stressful. But what I've learned is, having done this for a long time, is that this whole thing's a process, and it's not just the ISO's job, the information system security officer's job, to take on all the responsibilities of security. And organizations that put that much pressure on the shoulders of the ISO, I found, are kind of broken. And the reason why I say that is because what's supposed to happen is that the organization as a whole is supposed to distribute their level of risk, and the main risk lies, the buck stops with the actual head of agency, who has to sign off for the residual risk. That is how it's supposed to work. Security is not just one person's job, but in some organizations they make you feel like it is your job. You're the only person who bears all the responsibility of all security, and that's just not how it works. Think about it. The last few security, I bet you the last security incidents or leaks or hacks that you heard of happened because one random user or admin, system administrator, who was not an ISO, clicked on the wrong link. You're going to tell me that you're responsible for that person clicking that link, that phishing link? The organization has to implement a certain level of security training. Security awareness training has to happen on a regular basis, and there's a certain level of risk. Even if, no matter how much training you have, you can't stop everybody for clicking every single link. There's a certain level of risk. That's why we call it risk management, because there's no such thing as a 0%, like, removing all risk. Like, you have to have some level of risk. So what we're doing is managing the risk, and you, as the ISO, are not the person who's taking all that risk. What you're doing is helping the organization to manage the risk. Now, if there's an email came through and 3 months ago it says you were supposed to tell the IT team to upgrade this or that vulnerability, and you forgot to do that, they can come back and say, hey, weren't you supposed to tell them to? Okay, that's valid. Like, you were supposed to send that on its way, right? Really, you're like a pipeline. You're like a newscaster telling the weather, right? If you don't, like, hear me out, okay? Because this is a crazy misconception that I had when I was first started out, and I still notice some of my coworkers have the same ideology, is that the buck stops with me. All security falls on my shoulders. I must do everything. And if something happened, it's my fault. And it just feels very stressful, very, very stressful. But good cybersecurity within an organization, I've noticed, is a process that the whole organization takes on. From the janitor who has the only reason that they have a username and password is to put their time in, they have to have some level of cybersecurity on them too. Anybody who has an account or is in the building, I would argue in the building, because you have to display your badge. Everyone must display their badge as they walk around the campus. Okay? Everyone, you can't piggyback people when they come in the door. You got to make sure that it's shut so they can key card and they can validate their entry into the organization, right? So security is everyone's responsibility. As an ISO, what I'm doing is I'm reporting what security needs to happen. And sometimes I have to be the bearer of bad news. We have a vulnerability that's on 1,000 systems, and it's a 0-day exploit, and we have to fix this thing yesterday, you know. And then I have to meet with the team and say, okay, guys, I know we just cleaned up 2,000 systems, but now we have 1,000 more that just came through. And they're like, oh my, I have to be the bearer of bad news sometimes and tell them, okay, here's what's going on. How can we fix this? Not how can Bruce fix this? How can we as an organization fix this problem as a team? You know what I mean? So it can be very stressful, but one of the things that have helped me to alleviate some of the stress that I've had is that this is not just me that's doing this. It's us as a whole that have to get together and fix this. So that's how I think of it, and it really helped me to not be stressed out. If something doesn't work out or something, goes awry or something, there's a problem, I always think of it in terms of like, how can we fix this process? What went wrong in our process? And it takes such a load off my shoulders. So let me see. I got some other folks talking here. Whoa, I got some CISSPs joining me. The great thing is that many federal organizations follow DoD DISA framework examples, which is great for transitioning members, military members. Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. It's been super helpful for me. Super helpful. Because the reason why it's been helpful is because a lot of organizations actually that are outside the military use, like he's saying, NASA uses the same federal, some of the same frameworks as the DoD does. The DoD, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines all use the same framework, and then the contractors who work for them use those frameworks. And then so once you know this common body of knowledge for the NIST 837, NIST 853, they can add, the Navy is notorious for this. They'll add all this extra stuff. Well, all of them do, really, not just sing out the Navy, but the Air Force, the Army, the Marines, they all add their own special sauce to it. But at the end of the day, it's still the NIST 853. It's still the same control families. It's still, so if you know the NIST 837, NIST 853, then you know 80% of what's going on. And then you got to learn the jargon of the Marines or the Army or the Air Force or NASA or whoever, like, because all federal organizations. And check this out, Sergio, some states use it, and some private sector actually use NIST 800. I was surprised to see. Start working for the private sector, and I was surprised to see that they actually use NIST 800 in some cases. And they also use, big one is NIST Cybersecurity Framework. Any advice for taking the CISA exam? Do auditors need to be specially trained in specific domains, or can they pick up experience? With broad-based knowledge. I'm not sure. I do not have a CISA. I don't have that certification. I've been thinking about taking this. A very good certification from ISACA. But if anybody else who's on here, I believe there's a couple people on here who has the CISA. If you guys, anybody who's watching me, if you have the CISA, here's the question. He says, any advice for somebody about to take the exam? And he asks, do auditors need to be specially trained in specific domains, or can they pick up the experience with a broad-based knowledge in cybersecurity? That's their question. So any advice on CISA, if you've taken it before, it will be helpful. I can say that a few of my peers have it, and they usually just have uh, like maybe 5 years, at least 5 years of cybersecurity, of working at cybersecurity role. And it typically they'll have another certification like yourself. You have a CISSP, a CISM. You should be good. A CASP. You should be good to go ahead and take that certification. I don't know what. It's been a while since I looked at the domains of CISA, so I can't even speak on it off the top of my head. I'd have to Google it. But if somebody else chimes in, I'll read it. Let me see here. So I should just go hardcore study on NIST 853 and look for roles on that. D Barry, if you have no experience, I'm just gonna put my 2 cents on it. Here's just my 2 cents, D Barry. I would have to have your background. Tell me, like, what is your background? Are you an IT professional? If you've been doing this have you been doing this for a while? Or if you're coming with zero experience, if you have IT background at all, because I can tell you like this: if you have zero IT background, I would not necessarily do the NIST 853 just yet, or NIST 800 in general just yet. I would get basic IT knowledge. Start from the basics, like how do computers work, the server client model, how's cloud computing work, how's networking, basic stuff, basic stuff. Um, if you have, I would say if you are an IT professional already, if you're a help desk, you've been doing that for a while, or maybe you're a network engineer or something like that, then I would say what you need to do is study something called the NIST 837. So NIST 800 is a series of, when we say NIST 800, we're basically talking about the special publications that the NIST put out for federal systems. It's a bunch of books, guidebooks that give a standard or guidance on what organizations should do to secure their systems. The very first one that you should read is called the NIST 837, because the NIST 837 kind of, from a bird's eye view, tells you what an organization's cycles are, like what is the first, second, third, fourth, fifth step that the organization needs to do in order to secure a system, an information system in their environment. And it's not a long read. NIST 837. Along with that, you can read FIPS 200 and FIPS 199. Those are literally 8 pages long. Like, they're very simple reads. It's not an exciting read. it's not fun or exciting, but it's money. Like, if you want money, if you like money, then I would highly suggest you read those books. Okay. Now that's if you already are an IT professional. The next step I would say, and then on your resume, you'd be able to say, I'm familiar with NIST 837, and you'd not be lying. If you read just 837, FIPS 199, and FIPS 200. The next step you need to do, you don't need to read NIST 853. It's like 1,000 pages long. It's got like 1,000 security controls. It is a reference guide. It would be like reading the phone book. It'd be like taking the phone book and just reading it cover to cover. Like, who does that? You know what I mean? Like, it's not necessary unless you're looking for Sarah Connor or something. So so you don't have to read. It's a reference guide. If you read the NIST 837, it will guide you through. Now, what you could do with 853 is you could look at the families. Like, there's like 20 families of controls, and if you're familiar with the 20 families of controls, that'll help you out a lot. Like, there's NIST, there's AC, a control family called AC, which is access control families. You don't have to read every one, but it would be enough for you to read like AC1, AC2, AC3, or something like that. And then you can go to AU family of controls. And AU controls are talking about authentication, like why not authentication? Sorry, logging, log events, and continuous monitoring, and things like that. So mainly it's just like turning logs on. And then the first one is AU1, just talks about the policy. All the -1s talk about policy, by the way. So you'd read AU1, AU2, AU3, and then done. Go over to the next family. That's what I would recommend you do. Or you could also just read my book, which I wrote a whole book about this, where I break it down just like I'm talking about now, family, going by families, and what you need to know as a cybersecurity professional about the families. And so that's what I would do. You don't have to buy anything; it's all free. You can go to it's on NIST.gov's site. They have a whole breakdown of it, very comprehensive, all downloadables, all kinds of stuff. What you really want to do is be familiar enough to know, to be able to say, I've done that before. When it talks about policy, it's one thing to hear the word, but it's another to have written a policy or been a part of writing a policy. You'd be surprised. You may have written a policy before and didn't even know it. You may have written a procedure before and thought nothing of it. And those are the things you want to put on a resume. But you wouldn't even know, but since everybody just wants to be a hacker, you wouldn't know how much security that you already have done. Because everybody wants it's always, oh, hacker this and hacker that, and I know this code, and they don't talk about the stuff we're talking about here. This is not pop, it's not sexy, it's not popular, it's not fun. But if you put that shit on your resume, you'll be making money. You won't, it's not fun, but you'll be making money. I don't know how, if you like money, then try it. Let me see. That's how I feel at my organization. I'm getting burned out. Yeah, Netta, it's really common. It's really common among information system security officers to get burned out because there's so much put on our shoulders, and it's easy to, you want things to go right. You want, especially if you're a great worker, you're going to go above and beyond. And the thing you got to remember that I always keep in mind is that this is ongoing. This is not something, sometimes doesn't feel fulfilling because you didn't finish this thing. It's a constant flow. It's like a river. There's always continuously vulnerabilities coming through. And the best we can do is the best we can do. Like the best we can do is manage, do our due diligence. It's a huge step in the right direction for the organization to at least know what vulnerabilities are there. And that's our job. It's not everybody, it's everybody's responsibility to do this. And sometimes organizations feel like it's your responsibility. And that's just not a bad, it's not correct. It is not correct. And it can burn you out very, very fast. And I've been in organizations that did that, where they kept blaming us, our ISOs, for this or that, and why isn't this done, and why are you telling about this stuff now? You should have told us this 8 months ago, whatever. And there's all this blame game. And I would just recommend move on with your career if that's the case. I've had to do it myself. Like sometimes it's just too stressful, and it's like sometimes on my last job I was dealing with a client who just, they were on me, man. It was I don't want to talk too much about it, but wow, they were really on me. And I was already, my life is not like I was going through some stuff, and then they were on me every call. And I'm like, man, I really don't need this like right now. I really don't need, I'm doing my best here. And I had, 2 or 3 other clients and stuff. I did my best. And then I'm like, I gotta go, so that's part of what happened. But yeah. And sometimes you just got to leave that situation, and I won't blame you for doing that. Risk cannot be zero. I agree with that. Let me see if I have any other stuff going on. You guys missed it. I already did this earlier, where we spoke for about 30 minutes or so, and we've been talking for about an hour. So I'm going to take a couple more comments, questions, complaints, and then I'm going to call this one quits. Somebody, Chi on TikTok said, is cybersecurity analyst entry level? There's entry level analyst positions. Is it as a whole? That would be like saying, is healthcare as a whole entry level? Like that's a very broad. Cybersecurity analyst is a pretty broad field. It goes into forensics, it goes into network forensics. It can get into, there's many different aspects of cybersecurity analyst work. So there's entry level analysts all the way up to managers who are cybersecurity analysts. So their question is there cybersecurity analyst entry level? Yes, there are. But in IT, as I talked about before, entry level doesn't mean the same thing as it does in other fields. Like when you in other fields, when you say entry level, it means you could just walk in off the street and just do the job, right? And power wash somebody's sidewalk or whatever, or do some roofing or something like that. But in IT, when they say entry level, it can be a little bit misleading because it doesn't mean zero experience all the time. Sometimes it means that you have 6 months to a year of experience in IT. I'm not telling you that you cannot find a job with zero experience as a cybersecurity analyst. You can. Now, what I will say is that it's going to be very, very difficult to find a cybersecurity or IT job or role with no knowledge. That's going to be damn near impossible. But if you have the knowledge, you have little or very no experience, you could find a cybersecurity analyst entry level. It's not going to be easy to find, but they do exist. I see them from time to time. They're out there. You could probably get a good entry level job doing some cybersecurity role. So do they exist? Yes. Let me see. Taking classes through community college like boot camp. That's awesome for Security Plus. That's great. I think that's awesome. Community college is slept on, man, and people talk crap about it, but man, I think this should be free. That'd be awesome if they make it for free, like it's like right out of high school, boom, let you go to community college. You can continue that like a vocational school. So community college is great. Like you can get an associate's degree from there. I would go for an associate's from there. And then because here's the thing, they're not, when you get a job and put that on your resume that you have an associate's degree and a security plus from an ex community college, they just want to know that you can do the job. These employers really just want they want you to be able to do. It's not going to be enough for you to have a bachelor's degree and know nothing and pretend like you know everything. Like that's not going to fly. Like they really want you to be able to do the work. So Stacy, what you need to do while you're going to college, while you're going to this boot camp to get the security plus, is get the experience, as much experience as you can. What I mean is like set up Wi-Fi networks. If you whatever at your community college, see if you can even work for them at the community college itself. Help them set up the Wi-Fi network. Help them. You want to put that stuff on your resume. Help them. I don't know. Help them with the signatures of the viruses. Anything you can do, even if it's volunteer work. Come in early and help them set up the lab. Put that on your resume, and that is going to help you out. Like you got to actually have experience, as much experience as you can, because that's going to help you out with when you actually get into the field. Because they want somebody who has hands-on experience, who's going to be able to hit the ground running, who's not afraid of a router, of a switch, or a server, or whatever you happen to be working on. The program is for cybersecurity certificate. Yeah, get that experience while you're working on it. Thanks, brother, for the free book. Military members. Yep, free book right now, limited time offer. Helps me out, helps you guys out. The downloads, whenever you guys download the book, it kind of like gives me points on Amazon, because they want whenever you release a new book, every download you get, or anybody who purchases the book, the free download is considered a purchase. You download it, it kind of puts me up on this this book rating that they have. And if you give me a review, that's even better. That's more points for me. And I appreciate everything. Even if you guys are just kind of taking a look at it, I really appreciate it. It's very, very helpful to me. I'd like to connect with you regarding possibility of pivoting out of ISSM. Oh, you're an ISSM. Do you have an email that I can ask questions? Yeah, okay, I can give my email out. And I apologize in advance for if it takes me a while to get back to you. I get a lot of people. I get a lot of contacts. People contacting me about random stuff. It's contact@convocourses.com. That's my email right there. If you have like personal, stuff that you can't really discuss here because it's more like pertaining specifically to you, then that's it's a great opportunity to contact me about it, and we can. I'll see if I can help. I mean, I can't guarantee that I'm gonna be able to help. I'm just a Joe's blow freaking random ass dude on the internet. You know what I mean? So let me see here. Great session, Bruce. Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. Appreciate that. I'm not professional. I'm pivoting. I'm in IBM support technician certificate program, but also just did a DevOps project deploying a bookstore through AWS. Oh man, that's awesome, D-Berry. That's the kind of stuff that you need to do, man. Make sure you put that on your resume. And that's AWS they're looking, a lot of organizations right now looking for somebody with AWS experience because it's just a popular platform many people are using. So definitely put that on your resume, all that stuff on your resume, and just keep getting that experience. It's all about compliance, but still it's very, very important. Compliance is super important. Dealing with FIPS myself. Yeah. All right, guys, I think that's about it. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys didn't know, I've got a free book for a limited time offer. I put out books after I write. I'm already on the next book in this series. It's NIST Cybersecurity Framework, and this is the first book in the series. Go ahead and check it out. Download it right now for free on Amazon. Link in description, link in bio, link in profile if you're watching me on TikTok. Download it. It helps me out. Just if you just download it and be like, okay, I'm never gonna read this. It'd be great if you did read through it, learn some stuff. I really appreciate the feedback. I'm trying to be better as a writer. Leave me a review on there, helps out quite a bit. I got another one coming out. That one's going to take me a while, probably like another, if I had to guess, like another, 4 weeks or something for me to write. A lot of times when I disappear, that's what I'm doing is I'm just writing, I'm editing, I'm working with editors and all this kind of stuff. That's mainly what I do when I'm not working. So that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your comments. All you professionals, thank you so much. I always appreciate you guys coming in and helping other people out and giving advice and everything. And I will talk to you guys later. Peace.